All right, everybody, welcome to BFF, Beer Fishing Fanatics. This is Granny with MaPop Fishing and...
Kit from Fishing Kit.
There you go. How you doing, man?
Good.
Good. So this episode, I got to choose the beer this week, I guess you can say. Confluence Des Moines IPA. So everybody can see this, or people on the radio or headsets. Look it up. Des Moines Confluence IPA. So this is a local brewery. Oh, son of... I actually want to say this is one of the best IPAs that I've ever had, actually.
Ever,
yeah.
It's one of my favorites too, actually. As far as IPAs go, yeah.
Well then, cheers.
Cheers.
Nice and hoppy, so it's not too bad. We might be a beer or two in today. No?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
But we'll still have a good time today.
I hope so.
Speaking of fishing, watched a video the other day. I don't know if anybody saw the Fishing Kit one where this guy freaking walked in and there were like hundreds of dead fish, right?
Well, dozens.
Sorry. Well, the video made it look like it was freaking hundreds, dude. That's crazy.
Yeah, there was basically I went fishing at one of our local reservoirs or below the dam, and they're just dead carp, Asian carp, buffalo, drum, gar, basically anything that was trash, considered trash. Quotes for those of you that are just listening to this. At first I thought maybe somebody just threw a cast net, whatever. And then I went to another spot, and then I just noticed, they had gashes in their sides or whatever, but they're just like thrown everywhere on the rocks. I understand that they're trash fish and whatnot, but I mean, and whoever's doing it probably is thinking that they're doing everybody a favor.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I'm getting rid of all these trash fish. Nobody likes these.
But the thing is, I think a lot of people think it's like invasive. They might not know the difference. You know what I'm saying?
Some of the fish were invasive. Okay. Some were not. Like, let's say your freshwater drum is a trash fish, or at least it's labeled as a trash fish.
Yeah.
I don't think it's considered invasive. And same for the common carp. I'm pretty sure in certain bodies of water they're invasive, but they're not native. But I think the term is like naturalized. They've been in our system for so long that they're kind of part of the ecosystem. I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't like it when I catch a carp either.
It's fun.
Actually, I had this conversation on Facebook recently that this guy, he was like, I snagged the carp, blah blah blah, whatever. The fight was fun. Yes, carp fight good. It's a good fight.
Yeah.
Because they're bigger fish, but at the same time, let's say you're fighting that carp for like 10 minutes, you might be, that's 10 minutes you're not fishing for whatever you're fishing for.
True, but in my case, beggars can't be choosers.
Fighting a fish is still fighting a fish.
Fighting a fish is still fighting a fish. In my case. So, yeah, it's a carp. It was fun.
It's a fish.
It's a fish. Did I get skunked? See, that's the thing. I didn't get skunked. It's a carp. You know what I mean? A fish is a fish. But going back to it, but not all of them are trash or invasive species fish. So a lot of people, I saw your video, I was like, holy crap, they just left a bunch of dead fish there. What did the DNR say? I know I saw somebody was questioning, or I think you posted or somebody posted, I forgot, but they were asking something about what did the DNR say? I think you reached out to them.
Right, so I was just, like, we have Asian carp in our river system, and my thing was, like, even if they're invasive, is it legal to just throw them on the rocks? Because there were, like, dozens of dead fish on the rocks. Some Asian carp, some buffalo, which, don't quote me, but I think they're native. Buffalo, and buffalo aren't carp is one thing that people get mixed up.
They look like.
Yeah, big, scaly, sucker kind of looking fish, but they're not technically carp.
Aren't they a sucker in the same family? Sucker, buffalo. I think because I honestly
I don't
thought
know
they
if
were.
they're considered suckers.
Okay, so I wasn't
I
sure.
think they're kind of like in their own family. The whole leaving a bunch of dead fish on the bank.
Yeah, what did they say?
I inquired with the DNR. I was like, so I got a couple questions, like, because I came across 30, 40 dead fish on the bank. Like, is this legal? One, and then if it's not legal to do that, what should you, the angler, you start snagging a bunch of trash fish or whatever. Like, what can you do? And they say you either keep or return all fish to the river, invasive or not. So Asian carp, you can put it back in the river.
Really?
Yes. They would prefer if you would harvest that fish.
Okay.
Not throw it on the rocks for the eagles. I see that comment a lot. That actually came up a lot for the eagles or whatever scavengers.
Mm-hmm.
But you got to think about it this way. These are in high traffic areas where people are, going back and forth. So that, eagles, they're skittish. Whatever scavengers are skittish, like raccoons. If people are moving in that area, they don't have the opportunity to eat that fish.
Got
Let
it.
alone 30 of them.
So don't leave it there.
Don't leave it. Like what I do, I puncture their air bladder. Those two things do is the fish bleed out.
Mm-hmm.
And when you puncture the air bladder, that's basically kind of like how we have our was it the air drum or whatever?
No.
It gives us balance. Like that's how.
Oh, equilibrium.
Yes.
Jinx. Cheers.
Yeah. Basically, without their swim bladder, they can't control their bodies
Mm-hmm.
because that's what keeps them buoyant.
Oh.
So when you puncture that with the combination of cutting their gills, I mean, you could probably be fine with just cutting their gills because they're gonna bleed out. It'd be like if this is gonna be kind of morbid, but like if I just slit your throat,
Thanks, man.
it's like the equivalent of cutting a fish's gills, because that's basically their circulatory system goes through their gills. That's how they get their oxygen. So if you cut that, they're gonna bleed out. With them puncturing the air bladder, if you cut their gills, they might just float on the surface and then end up on some bank anyways.
Yeah.
That's actually okay because it'll drift out down further river onto some remote bank that people aren't frequenting. That's where the eagles and scavengers can get to it.
Okay.
It'll be on some random bank that there isn't people walking around. But if it's like, next to a trail where one or two people walking by every 5-10 minutes, even overnight, 30 fish, even one big fish isn't gonna get eaten overnight.
True.
Like when nobody's there. But yeah, they say they encourage people to harvest those fish.
So I'm assuming, because that's for Iowa DNR, by the way. So
Yeah, that was Iowa DNR.
anybody who listens to this or is from different states, make sure check with the DNR. I mean, guys.
There's even signs actually. It says return. It says keep or return all like Asian carp, whatever. Yeah, because like obviously that whoever was doing it was going out there with the intention of snagging fish.
Yeah.
Because I don't go out wiper fishing and then snag 30 carp, gar, drums.
I'll put the link, by the way, for that video here. Yeah. You see a bunch of these fish on the ground. You don't accidentally snag that many fish. That's what he's saying. They were snagging on purpose, and they snagged fish that they did not want.
This person could have, yeah, they probably think they're doing everyone a favor.
Yeah.
But it could be a little bit more sinister. They could have been going out snagging, what if they want to snag a walleye or a catfish?
True.
Or a white bass, wiper, crappie, whatever. But all these fish were getting in the way. I mean, I can't say either way.
Speaking of releasing fish. Okay, so Fishing Cat has on his YouTube channel. Make sure you guys check it. Link, like, subscribe. He went to a little bit of detail about releasing fish. When I say releasing, I'm talking about the bigger fish. Now, I am like every other fisherman. I love to eat fish. I catch and I keep. I'll tell anybody I harvest. Now, since fishing with this guy, I've learned to be selective in my harvest now. I've been very vigilant in regards to what fish I keep, size, and everything. So I've probably in the past, I would say honestly, probably in the past 6 years, I've really turned in regards to the type of fish, size, and everything that I keep. So that said, tell me about what are your thoughts and behind of in regards to the size of the fish, what kind of fish, release wise. So why is that a good thing? How does it help?
All right, so first off, this is just my opinion. I'm not a fisheries biologist. Let's say I go and catch a 10-pound wiper. I'm gonna let that fish go. And if I see somebody catching that 10-pound wiper, I'm just thinking like, oh, I hope he lets it go. And then that guy throws it in a cooler, and I'm like, oh, why?
I mean, it's his right,
It is.
but
But I'm not saying you can't keep fish, okay? Think of it this way, like the fish. Let's put it in a pyramid. Out of 200,000 fish, all right, at your very bottom, you're gonna have your most numerous fish. And what size is that fish gonna be?
small.
Let's say your white bass, your you know 6 to 10 inch fish. That's the majority of your, I guess, biomass is one way to put it.
Okay.
And then as you go up on that pyramid,
They get larger.
they get bigger, but the numbers of them shrink.
Okay.
And when you get to that top, like that very top of that pyramid, you're 10, 15, let's say even 20, that 20 pounder would be that one fish at the very top. You take that fish out, I mean, sure, it leaves an opening for that spot, but how long, it takes a while to replace that one fish. Like if you take a fish out from that bottom rung at the very bottom, it gets replaced easy, like next year. Right?
Yeah. No, that's a great way to look at it. I didn't look at it that way, but it makes sense. Like I was saying, the past couple of years, I've been more vigilant in regards to the type of fish and what I kept. So I think it totally makes sense. I think because we've seen a bunch of lakes here where the type of fish, the size of the fish, they dwindled down, and the reason being, I believe, is because of the harvesting. Everybody has been keeping or harvesting just whatever they catch, no matter the size.
Yeah,
They didn't even care.
This is probably going to be an unpopular podcast. People don't like it when you tell them what to do with their fish.
And this is the thing. We're not telling you what to do. I'm not telling you.
You can keep fish.
I keep fish. But
Randy over here keeps fish.
I keep fish.
I yell at him sometimes.
And he yells at me.
Certain fish.
He does yell at me all the time. But man, I got 4 daughters.
Yes.
I gotta feed them. They love crispy fish.
They do.
But
that's why I brought some catfish fillets, nuggets.
Kit was saying, just be selective. It is a touchy subject. You paid for your license. You get to keep whatever within limit, size, amount. Dude, you can keep whatever you guys want. But if you love the sport of fishing, correct? And that's why you were teaching me in the past couple of years. If you love the sport of fishing, if you want to catch the bigger fish, there's a reasoning behind the madness, and I guess you can say, right? So you release the bigger one to get bigger.
Like I'll put it this way: the whole pyramid thing, those bigger fish, they're not as common. So when you take one of those out, it takes out from that bigger pool, and it also takes a while for a fish to get to that size. Here's another thing: the limits. People are like, the DNR, they didn't put these limits in, blah blah. If it's legal, it's okay. But what's another thing that people don't like is when the government comes in and tells us we can't do something.
That's true.
If we can't regulate ourselves, then the government's going to come in and do it for us. And nobody likes that, do they? If there's a problem with me keeping all this fish, then the DNR will change the rules. Is that what you really want, though?
Oh, we don't. But yeah. So, in other words, guys, use your best judgment.
Practice selective harvest. If we can't regulate ourselves, and then the man is going to come in and regulate us.
Well, I don't know if that took us on a down spiral or else. But no, it's a very touchy subject.
It is.
That's why I wanted to talk about it today, because I remember I literally rewatched that video. I think you posted that like a year, 2 years ago, whatever.
I think 2 years ago. Actually, somebody commented on one of my videos recently.
See, at the end of the day, you pay for your license. It is a free country, and it's as long as you're within the legal limits, he could.
But if we can't control ourselves, then the man's gonna come in and control us.
Hey, I agree with you.
And nobody likes that. That guy, he was like, he talked to a DNR guy, The DNR guy said, wipers. That's the fish in question because there's no limit here in Iowa. Like there's no size limit, there's no bag limit. But if you look at the surrounding states,
There's a reason.
they have limits. So that's the draw of Iowa, no limit.
Very true.
Anyways, that guy, he was saying, he talked to the DNR. DNR said the wipers are plentiful and most people don't catch that many. But then when you go down to Red Rock and see guys like hauling 100 quart coolers and then also keep a trophy, what I would consider like a fish.
10 pounds.
10 pounds is a definite trophy. But I haven't seen a 10-pound fish in a while. Like before, like I would bring that number even down now because my biggest one this year is probably like 9 pounds, 8.5, 9. And now I'm starting to be like, I don't want, this is just my opinion, but that number is going down. Like before, like, fish under 10 pounds, whatever, keep it. But now I'm not seeing those 10-pound fish. I mean, at least they're not as common. I haven't seen one because a few years ago I caught like in a week 2 fish over like 13 pounds, and I haven't seen a fish over 10 pounds in like 2 years. I mean, sure, I'm just a small sample size.
Like I said, though, just use your best judgment, I think, is probably. If you catch a monster and you want to put it on a plaque, this is the thing, too. A lot of people don't realize you don't necessarily have to take the fish. Replicas, yes. If what do you call those? Taxidermists, right?
They do replicas. Yeah. Some of them, that's all they do. They only do replicas.
So a lot of people don't know this. This is the thing. You don't necessarily have to take that specific fish that you caught to get it mounted.
Take good pictures.
Measure it, take good pictures, and they can do replicas. And you release that fish for a 10-year-old to catch it. It's opportunity. No, that's why when you were telling me, because I am that guy, I was keeping a lot of fish. Actually, my whole life. I'm not going to lie. My whole life, I keep fish because I love to eat, and they never go to waste. But your reasoning made sense.
It just comes down to ethics versus ethics versus legality.
Yeah,
that's what it comes down to.
But like I said, man, we all paid for our license. You get to keep as long as you're within the limit. But just use your best judgment because, like you just said, in the future, you want to catch a 15, 20 pounder, maybe let go of that 10 pounder so you can catch it. That just a thought.
Odds are that 10-pound fish that you caught, somebody let it go when it was like 5 pounds. If not less, if not a little bit more.
Yeah, you never know. And
it's a
touchy subject.
It is touchy, but as you can tell, I'm passionate about this. We could talk about this all night.
I know you can, but that's why I brought it up because I think it's good to bring up, and the reason being is because some spots you see smaller fish, and you wonder why the DNR brings specific limits, and there's a reasoning behind their madness. Because I think, like you just said, to keep the ecosystem in line intact, a specific limit, so then people don't take that amount of a certain fish, species of fish, so because it's food for another fish,
right? And
if you keep taking that one out, then it's a domino effect. So and that's why I totally get it. But I just brought it up because I saw that video. I know it's been a while, but I know you're passionate about it, and I appreciate that you helped me kind of see the light.
Yeah, showing you the way.
But I still see the dark side. I still gotta eat. I still gotta feed the kids. So
you take a couple 5, 6, 7, 8 bigger fish home, but then when you have a cooler of them, and then you also take a 15-pound fish, I'm like, I might say something.
So FYI, I don't catch coolers. I don't have that great of fish luck, by the way, everyone. So everybody knows.
Don't forget before the DNR makes any changes, that takes time and money. It's not just like, our white bass population is kind of low, and then like boom, next day, no more unlimited white bass.
Well, anyways, cheers.
Yeah, cheers. On to more lighter subject, I think.
Yeah, well, no, we'll just end it here because we'll talk a little bit about kayak fishing. We'll go into that next week. And fishing kit, YouTube, if you guys haven't checked it out, he kayak fish. I used to until you go back and check my interview out. The reason why I don't kayak fish anymore is because I freaking fell on my ass. I mean, that wasn't the reason why I stopped, but
it might not be his choice either.
yeah. Next week, we'll talk a little bit more about kayak fishing and how this guy does it. What does he catch? Pros and cons. We'll talk all about that good stuff, and then we'll definitely have a couple more guests to join us. I'm thinking I have a guy who does kayak fishing that can join us, and he can go into more detail of his ways to kayak fish, I guess you could say. So thank you for joining us at BFF. Until next week, we'll see you then.
All right, see you guys.